Hello and welcome to Cricket360. We're about an hour away from the second ODI, a very critical one. It's being played in the same venue but a different pitch, and we have lots to talk about because for India, if India unfortunately loses this, we lose the ODI series as well. So lots at stake. South Africa would be licking their lips because they're just one game away. They look very settled. They're one win away from winning both the ODI and the Test series. Now, before we talk about the specific match and the potential team selection, I have Jayadipta here with me. I want to just talk about ODI as a format. I was looking at, or rather in terms of India not playing too many. Since, 2019 World Cup, I believe they've only played 21 odd. New Zealand, Afghanistan, India seem to be three countries that have newcomers like Sanju Samson, a few others. Of course, when we had a full steam team, we obviously beat England at home 2-1. Do you think this, the frequency or the lack of high frequency of India playing this format sends a different signal to the team, or it's having an issue for India to kind of find or, get used to each other every time, we kind of keep making these changes?
Yeah, this has all to do with the fact that the 50-over World Cup is a fair bit away, and we had a T20 World Cup. We've got another one coming up. So obviously the focus is shifted to T20. But this is what I was discussing with you the other evening, that the balance between Test cricket, keeping that aside, that's 50% of the cricket, and the rest 50% should be equally divided among T20 and 50 overs. Now, the people will always want 50 overs. The crowd, the countries, they want the 20-over format to take over. But this is where ICC and the boards come together and say, hey, listen, sit across the table and say, okay, we know T20 is the one that's going everywhere. We have a few T20 leagues all over the world, which are domestic tournaments. At the end of the day, the IPL, the Big Bash, they're all domestic tournaments. They're not ICC tournaments, okay? So individual boards have that tournament for that country. Now, when the international T20s come, if you can give a bar on it, and if you're told everybody, every country, why should England play 17 test matches and we play 6?
Yeah.
So you tell everybody you have to play anything between 12 and 18 test matches a year, anything between 15 and 25 one-days a year, anything between 8 and 15 T20s a year. Now, how you pan out your schedule is your problem. But if there's a directive from ICC, then everybody abides by this. So that's how we can go with this.
That's true. I mean, from my perspective, if I was one of the players, this probably gives a very different signal. I agree with you. World Cup is far away. T20 is the focus. That's probably where the commercials and the money are. But if this format has to kind of survive and thrive, we need to give more focus both at the domestic level as well as at the international level, because Shikhar Dhawan was talking about this, that it'll take India some time to kind of find this balance, right? Because right now, to be honest, it's a hodgepodge. We have I kind of periodically feel that even since 2019, India perhaps is struggling with this curse of finding the best 11. We had the whole Ambati Raidu issue back then. Then we have been trying. We really don't have a settled unit, either because of injuries to players like Pandya, or because probably we want to give different people chances. But hopefully India wins today so that we have one more game in South Africa, so that we can hopefully find, before we leave South Africa, we have a decent balanced 11. Now, before
you have raised a very important point, because all the players we are playing at 4, 5, 6 are from the T20 success. Be it Shreyash Iyer, be it Rishabh Pant, be it Venkatesh Iyer. So as far as international cricket is concerned, see, IPL is a domestic tournament, but it's in the level of an international tournament. That is way below a Vijay Hazare or a Mustaq Ali, with all due respect to him, because you have domestic players only. Now, right. And the stars don't play anymore, Mustaq Ali and Vijay Hazare. So the point I'm trying to make here is your number 4, your number 5, and your number 6 are T20 successes. Now, T20 is a very short game, small game. You can make a difference in 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 5 minutes. You can change the game. You can turn the game on its head. In 50 overs, it'll take you an hour to make a change. You could be 70 for 4 and still win the game. In T20, if you're 70 for 4, very seldom will you win the game. So all I'm trying to say here is you've got some seasoned pros who have done it in 50 overs and T20 at 1, 2, 3. But come to 4, 5, 6, we've got people who have not at the international cricket chased those 300s, got those runs around, played those 150 balls, 140 runs, 8 wickets in hand. There's a process to this. You give them
right.
70 balls, you give them 50 balls, 80 runs, 7 wickets in hand, they'll win the game in a canter. But when it's a long haul, when it's a 200 ball, 200, 190 to get, 300 ball, 270 to get. So that's when you figure out what you want to play, what your game plan is, which bowler do you take the chances. So there's a lot more of strategy that comes into batting. And that's the reason why I was harping on the fact the other day that you've got 3 very inexperienced guys who play for the moment, guys who are bashers at 4, 5, 6. The only problem with that is the day they don't come off, you fall flat on your face.
That's right. And I think that's, that was evident that when you have to chase a 296, 300, 320 between overs 25 to 40, it may seem boring to the fans of T20, but there's an art to building an innings, to carrying through, till I remember you mentioning that our tail should have only come in at 44, 45, if not beyond. But, obviously, Ashwin Thakur came in much earlier. So that 4, 5, 6, they have to be able to figure out. They have to figure out how do you build an innings, take it deep. And we'll come back to that quickly. Let's quickly
and the great 4, 5, 6 we've had, in Indian cricket, Yuvraj Singh, Mohammad Kaif, Rahul Dravid, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, they knew how to do this. Yuvraj is known for his 6 sixes, but there have been also matches where he played 84 balls and got 72 runs.
That's true.
He's been there in the long haul because that's the job. 4, 5, 6 only comes into play when 1, 2, 3 have, for some reason, it's not been their day. If it's 1, 2, 3's day, 4, 5, 6 it's an easy day for you in office. But you feel the heat because then the all-rounders come in after this. You know the fact that after this the bowlers come. But the 1, 2, 3 know that there's 4, 5, 6, which is the reason why the role of 4, 5, 6 in these long, big chases is very, very vital. And we have to create that balance, which is why I wanted to see somebody a little more experienced. Surya also is well known in T20. So for me, ideally, there should be somebody like a really good T20, 50 over player at 4, 5, 6. Whose strike rate is 70, 80, 90. Doesn't have to be 140. But 80, 90 strike rate does the job for you.
Is there 1 or 2 people who may not even be in the squad that you would kind of have for that role today from the setup?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the selection, what is very important, Prantik, in the selection is that you see 50 overs. Now, like you rightly said, we don't play enough 50 overs. And we are very, very influenced by the T20 success because the stage is so big, the stakes are so high. You find a guy, look at Venkatesh Iyer. People didn't know him 6 months back. Okay? Now everybody knows him. And he's been retained by KKR over some huge names like Shubman Gill, who's played 3 versions for India. So that's how careers are made, stars are made. But my only point here is in 50 overs, you need a bit of an Ajinkya Rahane, a bit of a Cheteshwar Pujara. Who know? If you see Cheteshwar Pujara play one-day cricket, I know he doesn't fit into India's scheme of things. You see him play for Saurashtra, his strike is close to 80. He'll play 150 balls, score 135. He knows how to play. Now, because in Indian team, there are too many good players. He doesn't fit in. He only has the test match role because of his fielding issues, fitness issues, running between the wicket issues, something that VVS Lakshman also faced in his career. But when he batted in Australia, he got a couple of hundreds in one-day cricket. So all I'm saying is it's a long game. It's a very long game. 300 balls is a very long game. And sometimes we are not giving it the time that it deserves.
Fair enough. Let's quickly listen to what Anand Vasu has to say, who's on the ground. He probably has a couple of suggestions on what the changes that India is likely to make. We'll listen to him and then come back with some more thoughts.
Hello and welcome to Bowlan Park for the penultimate game day of this series between India and South Africa. Obviously a very, very big day for India because they need a win to stay alive in the one-day series, having already lost the tests 2-1. To go back from this tour which was hyped up so much and a tour that India embarked on with great expectations without a loss and without a win in either format would be a big blow for this Indian team. South Africa well settled, looks like they will not change a winning combination. It's a different pitch being used for this second one-day here at PAL, but it's expected to play very similar to the one on which the first game was played, where South Africa surprised by making close to 300 runs and beat India comfortably in the end. India may think about making one change or think about using some of their players differently. Venkatesh Iyer, who made his debut, did not bowl at all in the first game, which led people to suggest that perhaps Surya Kumar Yadav would have been a better option purely as a batsman. On the day, it would be either one change with Surya Kumar Yadav coming in for Venkatesh Iyer, or perhaps Iyer being used more with the ball. It would be a bit unfair on him to get dropped after just one match, and you would think the team management would give him a slightly longer rope.
Thank you, Anand. Joydeep, from my perspective, I really would want to see both. I mean, a bit unfair if Venkatesh is dropped. I would want to see Venkatesh and Surya. If that has to be kind of manufactured, who else could go out? Or do you reckon Venkatesh needs to sit out for this one in place of a bit more matured Surya?
No, see, Shardul has got runs. Otherwise, he's struggling with the ball. Somebody asked me that he should be batting up the order. I said his main job is to bowl 10 overs for 50. If he's bowling 10 overs 70, then he's not doing the job. Doesn't matter how many runs he gets. That's an added bonus. That's like saying, the person who's your cook in the house, is really good at dusting, but the food you get at lunch and dinner is not great. So your prime skill has to be top notch, and then whatever happens after that is an added bonus. Much in the case of Ravichandran Ashwin in Test matches, Harbhajan Singh in Test matches, 300s, 400s, 500s, but also the 400 wickets. Also the wickets for India. Suddenly, if Harbhajan started getting runs and didn't get the wickets, he wouldn't be in the team. And same with Ashwin. So your prime skill set has to hold its own. And the next one is an added bonus. If it comes through, nothing like it. So I think because our bowling is a little brittle and our spinners did not bowl well on that wicket, how can Keshav Maharaj and Shamshi outshine Chahal and Ashwin? That's baffling. That just cannot happen. Just the quality of the spinners in the two countries. So I have a feeling that Venkatesh Iyer will sit out. Now, two things can happen. One is that, okay, we made a mistake. We didn't play the right combination. So we go with the right one. Or you say, no, we had the right combination. We did not approach the match in the right manner. And we're going to go with the same team and prove that we can win with the team. Time will tell which one they'll go by. But I have a feeling that the batting is looking very brittle because it's not a batting team in form. It's not one that's really going all guns blazing. If it was, you can play a better shot, but not at this time.
All right. So we'll know probably in the next 30 odd minutes as to what happens. But will be very interesting to see. I mean, I think the fact that Chahal and Ashwin didn't bowl, but again, it's just one of Chahal's coming back. So chances are they probably stay. As you rightly said, it could either be no change or would the team look at not playing Shardul? It will be a tough call. Let's talk about Rahul both in terms of opener.
Prantik, just on that, you got to realize that we play spinners better. Our Indian batters play spinners better. So Keshav and Shamshi bowling as well as they did against us, and our bowlers bowling to probably two batters who do not play spin as well as we do because they're brought up at fast bowling pitches. So that's another change which is baffling because you would expect our batters to play better against spin than their batters against our spinners, the quality of our spinners. So clearly our spinners are an off day, but like you rightly said, Chahal is playing after a while. Ashwin, the color of the ball has changed, and some days it doesn't come out of your hand right. I'm pretty sure these guys, if it's a similar pitch, I think these two will have a huge role to play. And also the way the South African batters approached, they didn't go defensive. They went aggressive against the spinners. You could make out they were hitting the sweep off the middle stump ball, that mid-wicket area which was vacant, constantly kept hitting it there. It was their day and it paid off. Today's another day. We'll see what happens.
And let's talk about the batting approach, right? I mean, KL, of course, just in the last, maybe I've been counting the tests as well. I'm not saying he's off color, but the runs haven't come. Should he do anything differently, or was that just a surprise delivery from Markram? We probably didn't expect him to bowl. You mentioned he's Sehwag-like. How should the openers, because obviously Dhawan's got runs, Rohit's not here. If India can open, typically in the recent ODI wins, if the openers have done well, like you said, because our middle order is not proven, we tend to typically do better. What does batsman and a captain in KL Rahul need to do differently in this particular match?
See, thought about KL Rahul, and the more I see him in the 50 over version. That's not his game. In Test match, he's in one mode. In T20, he's in another mode. So he's very close to the Test match mode in one-day cricket. I think he needs to be in between the T20 and the Test match mode. So if this is his T20 mode, this is his Test match mode, he's about here. I would want him to be in the middle because, truly speaking, Iron Macron should not be able to bowl to KL Rahul in the power play. You know?
Right.
First over 5, second over 11, third over 13. Okay, captain says, thank you, take a break, get the main bowlers in. But if you're too circumspect against him, and these sort of bowlers, they're not regulars, like you said, like a Sehwag was or Raina was, the moment you take a little bit of chances against them with two fielders outside the circle, come on. You take you give one over, you give them the charge, and then they are now bowling cut balls, they're bowling back foot balls, they're bowling front foot balls. But if you keep playing them like that, there'll be one ball that it's a good delivery, straightened up. So I feel KL with the captaincy, with him losing the only Test match that he captained, all this is playing on his head, and now he wants to stay there for 300 balls and get 220. That's going against his nature of play.
All right. Hopefully KL Rahul can clear his mind and he can come all guns blazing and just play his natural game. He's such a beautiful batsman to watch as well. Let's talk about the South African team before we move on. Everything's worked well. Do you always necessarily believe that when a team wins, you don't need to make any changes? Or given the fact that they're a new unit and they're already on top, should they be looking to experiment? And if so, do you reckon any one or two changes in the South African lineup?
No, they're having the time of their lives. Nobody gave them a chance against this Indian team. This Indian team has gone to Australia, been in Test matches, won one-day series. They've won the Test series. The only negative news they have is coming from their coach Mark Boucher, which is something totally different. But having said that, I don't think they need to change anything because right now, whatever they've done against a very strong Indian team in red ball and white ball, they have the upper hand. And they know they're one game away from winning both the series, which is phenomenal. Unthinkable. If we put both the team sheet, the names on two sides and say, they would have also said we'll do well to draw the Test match. Having won the Test series, now about to win the one-days, they're in a superb place. I don't think they need to change anything.
And I think if you look at their batting performance, of course, Bavuma and Rassi played wonderfully. But again, let's not forget the fact that Miller and De Kock are in that unit as well. And these two can be very, very destructive. But again, I've just enjoyed watching the South African batsmen, the way they have paced their innings. I think Bavuma has set the stage. Also, I think their bowling. I think, as a debutant, I think Marco to me somehow doesn't just seem like a young debutant. There is so much maturity about him. Of course, he got that catch dropped, I think by Miller, if I'm not wrong. But I think overall, the bowling unit, the batting, everything seems to be clicking. Now, from your experience across different formats, with so much happening at the board, etc., is it the fact that Bavuma would have said, "Hey guys, let's kind of shut that out," or would they be harnessing that, guys? We have a lot to play for. We have a lot of pride to kind of restore, and we have a future to build. What's typically the dressing room talk when so much unfortunate stuff that's going on, in the dressing room or within the board itself?
See, whatever is happening in the dressing room and the board and the coaches from the past. What you want to really feed on as the captain, and everybody's feeling that they're close to making history because nobody gave them a chance. And with a new team, Quinton de Kock leaves halfway through the Test series. Nobody there in this team that, if I take the South African team and if there's an IPL auction, I can't think of maybe barring one or two players, anybody making it. Yeah. Okay, there will be the Nokias making it, the De Villiers making it, but they're not in this team. I'm talking about in the 11. I can't imagine a Bavuma or a Van der Dussen or a Aiden Markram making it in the first 5 rounds of the auction. In spite of that, they're holding their own. So, which is why I've been a little surprised. India has played about 40-45% off.
Right.
Beat them.
We're probably
so
having
India
some
needs
technical
to be.
difficulty. Yeah, sorry.
Am I back?
Yes, I think you're back.
Am I back?
Yeah. Yes, I think you're back.
Pratik, what I was saying is if India plays at its potential of 100%, this team won't even come close to beating India. But right now in this game, the first game we played at about 40%. Strategy, application, everything put together. Batting, bowling, in a nutshell, we played at 40%. Now, if we play at 60-65%, fight on. If we play at 85-90%, it's an easy win. So which India shows up will be interesting to see.
That's right. And that's the beauty of South African cricket across all formats. It's that fact that they play as a unit. It was amazing. If you look at the bowling scorecard from the previous game, everyone chipped in. The moment Markram got Rahul, then thereafter when Dhawan was out to Maharaj, and literally wickets kept chipping. And I think there's a belief that everyone needs to contribute, and that's what they did. And I guess that's what makes you good teams. You don't really need to have superstars, IPL superstars, etc. So let's see what happens. I have a couple of questions before we end for the day, because we're quite close to the toss as well as the team announcements. Joydeep, the one question, the broadcasters were showing us that someone like Peterson is sitting out. The way he's batted, do you see, just from a personal perspective, do you see someone like him playing that Pujara role that you were telling us? Do you see a role for him in the one-day unit? Do you kind of see him breaking into the one-day side at some point in time? All right, there's some technical difficulty with Joydeep. He'll probably be back. But again, when I saw someone like Peterson sitting out, something tells me that he's a great one to have in the reserve, because again, innings builder. He could be that batsman, that the Pujara-like batsman, or that number 4, 5, 6 like batsman that Joydeep was talking about. We are probably a few minutes away from the team selection, the 11 selection as well as the toss. I'm hoping that India wins the toss. Would like to see if India could bat first, bat freely, set a target, and then probably that pressure is off. Of course, in the past, India has been fantastic, especially with Kohli, chasing targets once they know. But I think what I'm really looking forward today is not just the right team combination. You could have the 11 playing, but just the body language, the belief that everyone needs to chip in and contribute. We hope that that's what the Indian cricket guys would kind of come out and kind of show that sort of character and grit, because there's a lot to play for. We really hope the series remains alive, and enjoy the game. We'll come back to you after the match. Thank you.